Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and we'll be doing a 1 versus 1 battle. I'm going to be the Western Roman Empire. My opponent is going to be actually the Danes. So you can see the two army builds right here. He has a lot of heavy infantry, a couple cavalry, a decent amount of archers. Now my build as the Western Roman Empire, I wanted to rely a bit more on heavy infantry, which is of course what the Romans were known for. Now I do have some cavalry support, but let's go ahead and zoom in on what I brought. So the tactic here was going to be kind of like a hammer strike is what I was figuring. I clustered all of my legios in a big group with the support of the Herculiani Signores in the back. So this is going to be a big strike they can just send in with a lot of infantry to tank the fight. And then I was going to have some other attack columns, ballistari supported by 3 commutatensis spears, or 4. The spears were there to form like a complete defensive perimeter around these ballistari and allow them to pursue high value enemy targets such as cavalry or perhaps enemy generals and stuff like that, and then the spears can support them. So I have those two kind of sledgehammers supported by different types of infantry, skirmishers to throw out in the front just to harass drawn cavalry, and then I have cataphracti to countercharge whatever comes at me. So we can go ahead and put this on play. So yeah, here are going to be the Danes. I haven't really played too much with the Forefathers faction pack, but here you go. Hopefully I'll be able to bring some more of that content to you. So some of these Nordic bows positioned up front, 2 elite Nordic spearmen guarding the front, and then elite Nordic warriors. Those guys are actually pretty tough in melee combat. And then he has 4 cavalry, 2 Viking Raider cav on the flank there, backed up by 2 Viking Raider just foot troops. And he's keeping his kind of the general unit and his Nordic horse lords in the back. So anyways, I am going to be covering this battle. I think I just wanted to talk to you a little bit before this battle starts about a couple updates. First is going to be that sub-commander's idea, the last video I released. Having a lot of great feedback for you guys. You guys have some great ideas. It has sparked some ideas of my own, so I will definitely be pursuing more of that kind of stuff. And what I think I might do is maybe I'll try to host different types of battles, taking into account the suggestions you guys say. And then maybe after every time I post one of those videos, I'd ask you to then go ahead and say, what do you think the next video should be? And that way we can make it a little bit more dynamic, a little more interesting. You guys wanted to see a little bit of the planning stage, see if we could get the TeamSpeak recorded, have different points of view. Some people had mentioned, okay, what if you do like a Roman civil war where each Roman faction has to pick like a different sub-commander that's brought up from like a federati, like an auxilia, so they could choose different barbarian factions to support them. You guys are having some really great ideas, and then maybe extending that to sieges and the different types of battles, really seeing how that'll play out. So I'm very excited for that series, so stay tuned for that. And of course, another series that you guys have been wondering is going to be my historical documentary series, specifically the Battle of Adrianople. As you guys know, that those documentaries take a long time. I am still planning, obviously, of continuing that. I just have a lot of sort of real-world stuff to deal with. I'm a 4th-year mechanical engineer, as some of you guys know, so that involves looking for jobs. I'm going around California kind of looking for jobs, applying for jobs, going to interviews. I have also like senior project stuff, final project stuff to do, so I've been really busy outside of YouTube, and that's why you see me doing more of these multiplayer battles. They're just much easier to cast, low stress. I kind of sit down, play a battle, which is enjoyable, record it, which is also enjoyable, whereas the history ones are a lot more of a grind. But yeah, as soon as I get the real life stuff sorted out, expect to see more of that kind of content. I obviously love doing it, and it's I'm gonna pursue it. I have all of the script written for the 4 parts of the Battle of Adrianople, and then I also already recorded all the audio for part 2, so now I just have to do the filming for that part. It will be another relatively long segment that's probably like, I don't know, 13-15 minutes long, so it's a lot of filming, and you guys know the quality of editing that I like to do, and a lot of filming. It takes a long time for that to happen, so just stay tuned. Anyways, the battle is going to be erupting along these fronts. I pushed up my ballistari, as you saw, to take advantage of his repositioning. Looks like I didn't really lose any men on that front. No, just 2 men. I was able to do a good amount of damage to his Nordic bows. I'm going to be pushing over on the right flank. Right here, his guys are hidden, so I didn't quite know where they were, so I was going to throw out these skirmishers just to kind of bait in his archers, relieve the pressure on my main front. Let's put this on pause real quick, so you can see he's going to be counter-assaulting against my guys. One of the reasons I bring these really cheap levies is because, hey, they'll absorb a lot of fire, they can draw in cavalry, and what that'll do is allow me to counter-charge his Viking Raiders. Meanwhile, here you can see the sort of the sledgehammer of this huge Roman column just waiting in the woods, waiting for the perfect moment to strike out across the plain. Meanwhile, you have my spearmen holding the front, and then my crossbowmen who can perhaps peek over top of the hill. So my positioning is actually very, very good. My opponent is also using good positioning. Cavalry up on the hidden hills so he can get these engagements down onto my men, and then his archers are also hidden in the woods. So it looks like he's going to split up some of his men, one of them going after the skirmishers here. So he's going to absolutely destroy me, but look in the distance, that's fine, I'll take that exchange. Just allow me to get some counter charges with my counterfracks up the hill. Not as powerful as I would have liked, but it definitely allows me to get the edge in this type of battle. So his men are starting to lose a lot in that counter charge. Yes, I lose levies, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm willing to do that trade. My funditores pull out of there and allow me to continue cleaning up his men. Now the problem is I've committed a little bit too far from my lines, and so now I'm going to pull over. Let's put this on slow motion. A couple more of my guys. I love the fire effects on those trees, so burning out my men from the forest. And I'm going to come in from reinforcements. I don't want my guys to get isolated. And so here we go into this fight, helping to reinforce the cavalry fight. But he's going to be launching more of his guys into this position, overwhelming the entirety of my flank. So let's go ahead and watch what's happening here. I countercharged his guys, basically finished them off, his cavalry. I'm going to have to pull out because he has all sorts of support running into here. This is a pretty epic sight. And so now with this happening, I know I've drawn him out of position. And this is going to be the time to countercharge with my anvil. So now you can see all of our units charging out. This is going to be a pretty epic sight. Let's look at some of these Romans. This is the column charging out forward, sending in some of my spears just to soak up the fire. And here comes just the stream of Romans all coming through the center. Their plumbata being thrown. What I wanted to do was just have a huge fight in the center. I'm going to put this on pause so we can analyze this. I kind of threw everything in the center. I wanted to get local superiority. I wanted this fight to last forever. And then over in the flanks where he would be able to overextend, that's where I'm going to put my committed tenses spears. The reason these spears are here is obviously to keep him from penetrating behind my line. I have allowed him a little bit of a gap, so if he wants to turn into this gap like he should and go after my men, well, that's exactly where I'm going to be able to pull up my crossbowmen and allow them to get devastating fire on the flanks of those troops. So a pretty good move. My other spears are going to be in that position holding him back. The problem is a little bit over here where he's thrown in a lot of elite Nordic spearmen and the raiders and more troops coming into here. I might lose this cavalry fight. He's actually chasing after my cav there. So, we'll have to see which force is going to break. Here comes all my crossbow fire. Like I said, there he goes. He's going to turn that flank, try and do more damage to me. And so I'm going to now be able to target his elite Nordic warriors. Spearmen are going to try and pull back to cover my archers. I'm not getting the best fire with my ballistari. They would want to be on the crest of the hill to just be destroying his men from point blank range. The problem I have with that is if I move in too close, his archers will probably shred me. So I'm going to focus on taking out his men. He's going to countercharge over on the right with some of his cavalry. Sort of do some damage, but it's not going to be enough. Coming back into the fight. Let's put this on pause. Here come my cavalry. He has now turned my flank on this side. I didn't have enough troops. His elite units, the Danes, Jutes, and Gates do have some really good infantry, so I wasn't able to really hold these guys back. And so now here they come. They're going to try and recommit to the fight, really turn the flank on my central infantry body, which is holding out pretty well. And you can see me actually starting to break some of his forces. So I'm doing well with that main hammer blow. My cavalry are going to be now moving around the sides. I have to make a split-second decision. Look at this. His troops are now going to be collapsing on the undefended flanks of my men. That could end up routing my entire flank. But at the same time, if he destroys my cavalry here, then I don't have the opportunity to hammer and anvil the rear of his guys. So what I decide to do is a crucial point in this battle, which is to swing these Scolae Palatina around here and help clean up these Viking raiders, which will then allow me to free up this fight. And I have to hope that my infantry body in the center can hold out against the onslaught that's coming into it, free up these cavalry, and then clean up the rear. That's also what my opponent is trying to do, but at least I have some spears in the back to protect me. Let's go ahead and actually see if we can't focus in on the Romans who are now being kind of isolated and stranded. That's what happened when you commit this entire sort of hammer stroke through the center. The enemy is now going to have a pretty good surround, but just due to my numbers, I can hold out in this fight for a long time, which is exactly what I need in this type of grinding fight. He's actually going to be throwing in some of his Nordic horse lords. He's countercharging around some of my spears into my ballistari, so he's doing a good move. Over here I'm going to try and countercharge these elite Nordic warriors, try and take them out and protect my flank. My Ballistari on the high ground are going to turn about and target some of his cavalry. He's doing everything he can to do a complete encirclement on my Romans. I caught some of his cavalry on that side, so I'm starting to break his flank, but that's going to expose me to a lot of archer fire coming into there. And now he's going to start to get the surround of my infantry, so this is not going well for me at that point. Over here, though, I was able to finally break his cavalry, and I can pull off some of my guys, leave my melee cav, Scolae Palatina, committed to this fight like I said before, and now pull back some free cavalry who can come and clean up the guys chasing the back of my men. Over in the rear, his cavalry are continuing to pursue my Ballistari. This is not at all what I want. He is harassing my skirmishers. I have nothing to harass his skirmishers just yet, but at least I was able to chase these guys out of there and continue to get parting shots on those men. But now here comes the crush into my main lines. At least I'm going to get some cavalry who can come up over the hill. I committed my general to that fight, but he's going to actually retarget my men, try and do a lot of damage. So here comes the return of my heavy cav, flattening some of these guys, the exterior perimeters of these Nordic troops. And my infantry in the middle is being whittled away. I really have to break through to them. The archer fire out here is being pretty devastating, cleaning up a lot of my men. And so now I have to commit my spears. He's chasing down my legios. I am kind of collapsing on this front, and you can see he still has a lot of men left over. Over on this flank, he looks like he has some spare cav, so I'm going to countercharge against his raider cav, against his Viking raiders there. It's kind of even. And so now look, the entirety of my Roman sledgehammer has been broken. Very troublesome for me. And so I'm going to have to pull back to my Ballistari and reform. His archers are just doing too much damage, and these guys are just too elite for me to handle. So I'm going to recommit some of my guys, my spears particularly, while the rest of my troops are going to be falling back to the protection of the hill. So this is going to be a prolonged fight. A lot of my guys are just, strung out on the battlefield, and luckily I do have some committed tenses spears who can then chase off his bowmen, so that's going to relieve the pressure on the center. And I'm going to recommit to this fight with some of my cataphracti. You can see it's chipping away at some of his elite guys. I'm going to recommit to this fight. Over on this flank, pulled off my general to help finish off the last of the flanking forces. My rear has been secured, so now I can move up with my skirmishers and try and target specific units. His general, for instance, is the one I'm going to be targeting. I know if I can, snipe his general, that'll be a huge blow for his troops, and it'll turn the melee battle in my favor. If I can win that melee battle, it'll be obviously GG. So the Fundatories are moving up to the crest of the hill, starting to target those guys. The grinding fight is definitely not really going too much in my favor. The last of my Herculeani Signores are going down. They've got 120 kills, but they're going to be losing in this grinding fight, especially against the spear wall formed up right there, and there they go. They're going to break. And so now I'm starting to worry. Now he has a bunch of infantry who can, look at this. All my guys are breaking. I was able to win that fight on the flank with some of my cav, so they're going to be charging against his bows. But now this is a problem. All his bows can either target my infantry, or I believe the other units are going to be, more appropriately targeting my cavalry, so I'm going to get them into the next fight as soon as possible. At least it's tying down his guys. Meanwhile, the rest of my forces are going to be pulling back. I left one committed tenses spear engaged, and I'm going to be reforming on the ridgeline with the support of my Ballistari. So here come my committed tenses spears. My Fundatories are getting on that flank, and boom, I killed his general. All of a sudden, I am now able to descend on his men and win that battle. So it was very close fought. I thought I was going to have to fall back and reform on the ridge. But crossbowmen, finally, one of these guys was the hero of this fight. One of his crossbow bolts came in, pierced the general in the eye, killed him, and the entirety of this, very scary force that was left over actually routed at the blink of an eye. So very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's go ahead and look at some of the stats. And I hope you guys appreciate a little bit of the updates that I was giving you. Very impressed with these Nordic Horse Lords, how many kills they got in melee. And actually his melee infantry did very well. I mean, they are elite troops, whereas my guys did so-so. They held up the fight, crossbowmen particularly doing a lot of kills, as well as these Scolae Palatina. So very good battle. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you will give me a little bit of time to deal with real life situations so I can get back to those historical documentaries in a little bit. I have job applications and other stuff to do. But yeah, that's going to be about it. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.